Here comes the money. You're now listening to the Gambling with Gold podcast with Jason Gold. Presented by Champions Round.
What is going on? Welcome back to Gambling with Gold. My name is Jason Gold. This is Dan Titus. We are here for our NFC South preview show, gambling preview show at that. This is episode 94 of Gambling with Gold. Dan, how you doing on this Tuesday, August 9th?
What up, dude? We're talking about the shittiest division in football here. So
let's go.
Let's get it.
I cannot wait to talk about this division, get in some shitty bets. This is the best part about the preseason NFL. Fuck your fantasy football shit. I'm trying to get season-long bets down here, baby. I got a trip out to Vegas coming up in 2 weeks. Ready to go place all the rest of those bets that I need to be placed. All right, let's get to the NFC South odds. Tampa Bay, minus 250 to win the division. New Orleans, plus 310. Carolina, plus 900. And Atlanta, plus 3,500. The win totals for each team. Tampa Bay, 11.5. New Orleans at 8.5. Carolina, 6.5. And Atlanta at 5. Playoff odds for each team in the NFC South. Tampa Bay, minus 650 to be in, plus 450 to be out. New Orleans, plus 125 and minus 155. Carolina, plus 300 to be in, minus 500 to miss the playoffs. And Atlanta, plus 800 to make the playoffs, minus 1,200 to miss the playoffs. Do any of those odds stand out to you, and are any of those actionable, and or are you interested in betting any of those numbers?
Definitely not Bucs minus 250 to win the division. Don't think that there's enough value there, even though, I mean, that's putting them somewhere in the 70% chance range. I think that's certainly feasible, but I'm not spending that juice for it. Not interested actually in betting the Panthers, the Falcons, or the Saints here. This is just an ugly division where there's definitely some value in specific bets, but we can get to that once we talk about at a team level. But off top, not excited about any of those prices.
Okay, so Tampa Bay, obviously the clear runaway favorite in this division. If there's one team that could compete with them in this division, who do you think it would be? Or do you think it's just a matter of if Tom Brady's playing 17, we can scrape it and it doesn't matter? They're getting in the playoffs. They're going to win the division.
Yeah, I think I'm more so wondering who's the second best team in this division. Is it the Saints or is it the Panthers? Right now, Jameis Winston seemed to have avoided a serious injury. Looks like it's just a sprained ankle. So that's good for your comeback player of the year position right now. I know that you had him. What number did you get him at originally?
I think I have like a plus 1,000, something like that on there.
Yeah, so that's great. So I saw he just moved to the second odds on favorite behind Derrick Henry. He's at plus 550 right now at most books. So you got a good snag there. And being that he avoided serious injury, I think that there's some upside there. I have been looking into the Chris Olave market. I think him as offensive player of the year is certainly something that I can get behind if Jameis Winston is healthy, because we don't really know what we're going to get out of Michael Thomas. And I think that, with Alvin Kamara's situation in flux, this team could be a passing offense. So I think there's definitely value at Chris Olave to get offensive player of the year. And I think I'm seeing that at plus 500-ish?
You mean offensive rookie of the year?
Offensive rookie.
Offensive player of the year. I'm like, holy shit, here we go.
Offensive rookie. Yeah.
So offensive rookie of the year, he is the co-favorite right now, plus 750 along with Breece Hall. That's at DK. The number is moving because Kenny Pickett, conversation for another day, but he's at plus 900 right now. He's like the worst quarterback in the history of the world in camp right now. He looks better
third string.
He can't get past Mason Rudolph, so that doesn't look good for him right now. But this is an NFC South podcast, not an AFC North podcast. So Olave at plus 750 makes a lot of sense, especially I think if Michael Thomas isn't going to be 100%. I'm a believer in Michael Thomas this year. I think that he'll get back, but I definitely see the lane for him to have success. And if Michael Thomas is 80% of what he was, and Jarvis Landry doesn't emerge or is not a favorite target of Winston, I can definitely see Olave seeing a lot of single coverage and having a lot of success. You've seen the videos of him in camp. He looks absolutely awesome. He's breaking down guys. He basically looks like he's got the route running of Keenan Allen already as a rookie. So pretty good sign. We saw what he did at Ohio State. I would not be surprised to see him compete for NFL Rookie of the Year. So I'm wondering, because it seems like you have a little interest in New Orleans here.
Yeah.
Do you have another exacta on this division for us? Like you did?
So there's an exact order. It's Tampa, New Orleans, Panthers, and then the Falcons. You can get that at plus 175. I mean, I think that's probably the safest bet you can make. Part of me is also thinking, like, because I'm still trying to figure out who's going to be that second team to kind of emerge in this division. If you flip the Saints and the Panthers, make the Panthers second to finish in this division, it's plus 400. So I think that those are going to be the top. It's between those three teams to be the top three in this division. I don't have a lot of faith in the Falcons. I know at one point you did. I did see that their win total moved to 5. I'm out on that. Don't know that I could buy 4.5 was like kind of interesting, but yeah, over 5, that just seems like a reach to me. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in football. And for that reason, that's why I'm betting it, man. They are going to be the worst team in football, plus 400. Fewest regular season wins this year. I got it on the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, man. Hating on my boy Marcus Mariota makes me very sad. But if Desmond Ridder ends up starting, I get it because I don't believe in
That's
him
the out,
either.
man. Like, I don't know if we're going to see a full season of Mariota. Like, he could be solid. I don't know. Maybe this is back to Tennessee Mariota, but it's been some time since he's gotten the starting nod. Don't know if I can totally believe in this offense or defense, man. It's going to be a lot of negative game scripts in terms of them having to come back from trailing from a lot of points. So not much upside here with the Atlanta Falcons, in my opinion.
Absolutely. All right. So my predictions based on the math that I've done for the NFC South, I have Tampa Bay at 11.3 wins, New Orleans at 9.2, Carolina at 6.4, Atlanta at 4.9. So pretty close in line with the win totals. Nothing super actionable, but I did have a bet. I had New Orleans. I have bet it twice, the over win totals, which is not usually I'm an under guy on when it comes to this, but I'll take the over win totals here. When it first came out, in July, or the first time I saw it in July, it was at 7.5 at one book in Vegas, minus 140. So I bet that. And then I saw my over 8, minus 120, and I also bet that. I think that they're pretty comfortable to get 9 here because I think they have Tom Brady's number. I still think this defense is going to know what to do with Brady and that Bucs offense. So let's say that they split there, they go 1-1. Then they have Carolina, which is probably 2-0, and Atlanta 2-0. So there's a good chance that they go 4-2 or 5-1 in this division. As long as Jameis Winston is healthy, I think that they'll be fine enough on offense. I'm not worried about the Alvin Kamara suspension, which is something that we can also get into. I think Michael Thomas is going to get back, like that defense. So I'm higher on New Orleans than probably the market is. I think that 9 is a fair floor for them. Let me talk about everybody's strength of schedule for a second in this division, and then we'll get into some other questions and bets that we have. So strength of schedule in this division, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have the 7th easiest schedule in the NFL, comparing win totals across the league. So basically expected Vegas totals. New Orleans has the 9th easiest, Carolina has the 14th easiest, and Atlanta has the 10th hardest. So Tampa Bay and New Orleans really get a break here. Both top 10 easiest schedules in the NFL. So Tampa Bay probably gets juiced up maybe from my prediction of 11.3 based on how many points I project them to score and give up. Maybe they go up to 12. New Orleans, I had it like, what did I say, like 9.2, something like that. Maybe they get up to 10, something like that. So I think the strength of schedule certainly helps out Tampa Bay and New Orleans here. Let's jump into biggest questions for each team. Let's start with Tampa Bay. Is this Tom Brady's final ride? And can the offensive line hold up that has been decimated between free agency and injuries? For me, those are the two biggest questions because I always get scared when a player retires and then comes back. Look, I know it's Brady. He's an unprecedented type of figure, but if he was really on his way out at the end of last year and now he's like, no, I want to come back, that scares me a little bit. And then you lost 2 offensive linemen. Yes, you have Tristan Wirfs, who's one of the best O-linemen. Then you lose Ryan Jensen on top of it. The center is going to be out for most of the season, if not the entire season. They got a big issue, and they don't have a lot of running backs that they can just depend on at this point. Chris Godwin may be back for week 1, but probably going to be injured a little bit. Julio, we've talked about ad nauseum at this point. He's washed, but we're a little bit higher on him. Russell Gage, they lose Gronk. Like, this is not the Tampa Bay team of 2 years ago that was stacked at every position. They definitely have issues.
They have issues, but not enough issues that I'm concerned about it. They're going to be a 10-win team. They're going to run away with this division. You still have Tom Brady, even though he came out of retirement and has to come back. He just loads up with Julio Jones. Chris Godwin, all reports are that he's progressing well in his rehab, so you could see him by midseason. Maybe sooner. I think Mike Evans continues to be one of the most underrated wide receivers in the league. 8 straight seasons with 1,000 yards, pretty much guaranteed to get double-digit touchdowns at this point. Not afraid about not concerned about the running back room either. Looks like Lenny's back in shape again. They drafted Rashad White, who looks like a very good pass catching back. I don't think this offense really misses a beat. The offensive line is certainly a concern, but when you have Tom Brady at quarterback, I think he'll figure out how to get the ball out quickly and not fall victim to that many sacks and continue to push the ball down the field, especially as they're waiting to get, guys like Chris Godwin back. They got weapons. Russell Gage is still there. I know from a fantasy perspective, that might be a downgrade a bit with Julio in town, but he's got weapons at his disposal. So I can't bet against Tom Brady right now, unless it's a season-long passing prop that I know you are fading. But as a team, this squad's going to be tough.
So my bets on the Bucs thus far this year, let's see. Tom Brady under 4,650.5 passing yards. We've been over that on 3 different podcasts. I'm not going to go into it. Just take the under. And then Leonard Fournette under 775.5 rushing yards this season. That's available at FanDuel. I believe that Rachaad White's going to end up taking this job. I think it's going to be early. I do not believe in Leonard Fournette's ability to stay healthy this season. Look, he can get into shape as much as he wants. The guy still weighed 265 pounds on that 5'11" frame or 6 foot frame.
He's a big boy.
2 weeks ago, look, these guys wear down. And Fournette's had 2 really, really big seasons back-to-back where he's been utilized heavily. He was utilized very heavily early on in his career with the Jaguars. At some point, you got to pay the piper on this thing. And I think that's for almost 800 yards rushing this year. I don't see it happening. And I don't like that offensive line. I don't think they're going to run the ball all that effectively. I think it's going to be a lot of dump-off passes from Brady. So he could have he could still have, 1,500 total yards this season, but he still has to get 800 rushing. I do not see that happening this season. So those are my 2 bets on the Buccaneers right now.
Those are good bets, man. I don't really have many bets on the Bucs this season, at least not yet, just because, I'm not super thrilled about any particular player. I was eyeing Mike Evans touchdown prop that's currently sitting at, I believe 8.5. Or is it 9.5? Oh, sorry, it's 10.5. Ooh, that's steep.
Spicy.
I mean, I get it. 13 and 14 touchdowns in the first 2 seasons with the Bucs, so I get why they set it that high, but part of me actually leans that under. With so many other mouths to feed, maybe we see Julio Jones actually get into the end zone for a change in his career. So
I said that 8 touchdowns, baby.
So if he gets 8 touchdowns, you still got Russell Gage there, other mouths to feed. I mean, I could see a little regression coming from Mike Evans. 13, 14 touchdowns. That's tough to replicate again in the 3rd season. So 10.5. I think I'm gonna take that under, actually.
I don't hate it, although all he does is he has 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns every single season. So kind of tough to bet on it, but I do agree that number is probably a little high. He's probably due for a little touchdown regression this season. Let's move over to New Orleans. My biggest question, new coach Dennis Allen, what does this team look like without Sean Payton? The last time that the Saints didn't have Sean Payton as head coach was pre-Hurricane Katrina, so it's been a long fucking time. And then I guess, is Jameis the guy, or is their quarterback going to get the sort of play that they got under Sean Payton now? And is this going to look like a similar team just because they put their defensive coordinator in charge? Or, does this look a lot different? Is this not the Saints that we've become accustomed to for the last 15 years?
It's going to be interesting because I think we saw a conservative Jameis Winston for the better part before he tore his ACL. I think this is going to be a second time in the offense. Cerebral wise, he should know the system pretty well. With all those weapons, bringing in Jarvis Landry, you get Michael Thomas back, you draft Chris Olave. Sure, you might miss Alvin Kamara for a number of games, but you still do have a veteran in Mark Ingram there. I don't really see that they're going to be that much off of what they were last year. And they were a winning team before Jameis Winston went down, before they went to the Taysom Hill fiasco that was. So, I think the squad could be solid. But I'm a little less high on them for the season total. Right now, their season win total is in at 8.5. I'm going to take the under on that, -125. Division-wise, I think that they should be fine. It's the other matchups that I have more concern with. And I think this is going to be the testament of, if Jameis does get them to over, 9 wins, around 9-10 wins, he will be comeback player of the year. Just have my doubts of whether it's going to see it through. He's already beat up a little bit. We're not having Alvin Kamara there. This may look a little bit different initially, and that might downgrade his possibilities early on. But if they catch steam, I think Jameis is certainly the one that's going to lead them this way. So see some upside there in terms of his long-term value. But for the team total, I'm taking the under 8.5.
Fair enough. We are on different sides of that. I think that I'm a little bit higher, partially based on the schedule, partially based on the division, partially that I think that they're going to do everything that they can this year to ensure that Sean Payton's coaching style, at least offensively, continues through. And part of it is I think that Michael Thomas is really going to be healthy, and the Alvin Kamara suspension thing will not happen until next year. So I'll get into this a little bit.
That would be huge. That would definitely impact that win total for sure.
So his court case is now delayed until October, right? And it's felony charges right now, I believe. So it actually has to go to trial unless anything's negotiated. I can guarantee you that his lawyer is going to do everything in his power not to settle anything during the course of the regular season. So if there's nothing done during the course of the regular season, the NFL is not going to suspend him at all unless the court case is settled. Right. So I don't think this turns into a Deshaun Watson situation where he sits out the year. That's not going to happen. I think he fully plays the entire season if he's healthy enough to do it. But I think that you look for something like next February, next March for this to get either settled out of court or settled in court. So Kamara, I expect to play the entire season, which is why if you can find his props available anywhere, they're pretty much not anywhere. But if they do come up, bet the overs if the numbers indicate that he's going to be suspended or miss some games this season. I don't know if that's going to become available, but if it is, I can promise you, go bet it. The other bets that I love for the Saints this season, we talked about Jameis Winston, we talked about the overs that I like. Michael Thomas, over 800.5 receiving yards and over 70.5 receptions. Those are both absolute locks to me if I believe that Michael Thomas is going to be himself. And I think that he's going to be 80% of himself this season. I think that Jameis Winston will target him heavily within the offense. And I think MT is going to do his thing. If he's back and he's 80%, those numbers are really, really far short of what he's capable of. So I would bet on him right now. People are still worried about his injury. He's come back to camp. He's looked fine. I would go bet those numbers right now before they get steamed up because they will very, very quickly. So those are all my bets on the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I mean, he was over 1,100 yards in the first 4 seasons of his career, and definitely eclipsed 70-plus receptions in 3 out of those. 3 out of 5 of his first season. 3 out of his 5 first season. So, Michael Thomas, bounce back candidate. I like it. Just I don't know if I can pull the trigger yet, man. I gotta see that. That might be something that I try to adjust in midseason.
I understand because people are concerned, obviously, about the injury and how long it's taken him to get back. But what I'm saying is, bet that number now. Well, I'm saying that he's back, but that may be more of a personal opinion than anything else. But I can guarantee you, if you think he's going to play a full season, even if he's not 100%, if he's 80%, right? Those numbers are still hilariously low.
Yeah, so if you think 1,100 being 1,100s is floor, like 100%. Yeah, when he's even playing, if he's playing the majority of the games, like he's going to get the yardage for sure.
So if you think he's going to play week 1, and I think that the general expectation is he will be available week 1 for the Saints, go bet that number right now because there's great value on that happening. All right, let's move over to the Carolina Panthers here, plus 900 to win the division. I guess my question is, can Matt Rule save his job with Baker Mayfield? That's it.
Dude, I'm wondering, Matt Rule might be in contention for first coach fired at this point.
There you go.
Man, like, because he just doesn't say any of the right things. You know, for last year was Jay-Z. This year he doesn't like TD celebrations or none of that. Has no idea what's going on in Black fraternity life. So yeah, he's a clown. Can Baker survive? I don't know, but we talked about it earlier. One of my best bets is Baker Mayfield under 22.5 touchdowns. This is just a system that doesn't afford a lot of touchdown passes for the quarterbacks. You have a healthy CMC. It might help you a little bit in the pass game, but there's going to be rushing TDs to go around there. Maybe we see DJ Moore actually get in the end zone more than 5 times here, but I can't bank on Baker Mayfield to be there the whole season. Sam Darnold is still there. If he falters at all, they're going to turn to the next guy, and they drafted a quarterback in Matt Corral. So I don't know. This Panthers team is confusing. I think it really all their season hinges on, will CMC stay healthy or not? That's what you're betting on. And a cool prop, DJ Moore over 1,099.5 yards, and CMC over 999.5 rushing yards for plus 330. So if you think CMC is going to remain healthy, DJ Moore is pretty much a lock for 1,100 yards. Dude, he's like pretty much Julio Jones at this point. Never scores touchdowns, but always does the work between the seams. So like the value on that if you assume that CMC is going to be healthy.
All right. I do not think that he's going to be healthy. So that's one of the bets that I'm about
to
get that
out of the way.
Is going to be Christian McCaffrey under 1,595.5 total yards and under 900.5 rushing yards. A guy that's injured stays injured. Fade Christian McCaffrey. Look, in fantasy, I get it. I took him personally in the FSGA draft at number 4 overall because he's number 4. It was a great value. But I would bet on him once again getting injured this season. So 1,000. What did I say? 1,595.5 total
Can't be jinxing your season in the preseason, bro. Come on, have some faith.
Hey, you know what? My first round pick lasted longer than last year because last year I had Cam Akers who went out 2 weeks after I. So I will certainly take what I am getting from Christian McCaffrey at this point.
Note, anytime Jason Gold mentions the first RB off the board, fade him in all things because it's not looking good in the last 2 years.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with that anymore. Are there any interesting fantasy players on the Carolina Panthers that you want to target perhaps late in the draft?
No, not really. The only Carolina Panthers that I'd be drafting confidently is DJ Moore at this point.
Fair enough. The only guy at the end that I'm kind of maybe interested in, like way late, would be Terrace Marshall, just because I think that Robbie Anderson, he's talked himself into such a corner. I don't know if he's going to be a part of their offense or their team.
True.
But it's sort of the team, like he could easily be a training camp cut at this point. So maybe Marshall comes out. We know that Baker tends to like his bigger receiver because he's really terrible at hitting. Like that's my concern with DJ Moore. We saw what Baker did. So Odell's like what, 5'11", 6 foot maybe.
Yeah, about the same frame.
Jarvis is like 5'10" ish. So these shorter receivers, and Baker just tends to airmail them. Where he has been successful, so he brought
the Donovan People-Jones of the world.
Exactly. So maybe there's more value. Maybe he's going to be like, oh, Terrace is 6'4". He had success at LSU. We predicted last year as a second-round pick that he was going to have a breakout season. Okay, he didn't. Guess what? He was with Sam Darnold. Maybe this year it looks a little bit different with Baker Mayfield. So he's the guy that I would target, like probably deeper drafts, but certainly one to keep an eye on because I think that he has a potential breakout with Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Let's move over to the sad Atlanta Falcons, who are interesting and also terrible at the same time. Don't quite know what to make of them. My ATL question is so homerish, I'm not even going to ask it.
How great can Marcus Mariota be?
No, it was the question on my sheet is redemption for Marcus Mariota, ? Or full rebuild. So it's likely a full rebuild.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see what they do with some of their younger players, at least offensively. The defense is going to be, they have Terrell, so they'll be like bottom third of the league on defense.
Yeah,
but the offense is the part where I'm interested to see what happens. The offensive line, not good. Mariota, you can think whatever you want about him. I think he's the best quarterback in the league.
At least he's mobile. He has that going for him. So
as a fantasy option, especially in Superflex, if he stays healthy, he's going to rush for like 500 plus yards this season. So he's certainly interesting from that perspective.
Sure.
Can he be an effective quarterback enough to support Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Brian Edwards or whoever their third receiver ends up being? That'll
Patterson,
be yeah. And then the other point that I have on here is rookie of the year. I've said this on a podcast before. Plus 5,000, Tyler Algier. I don't know if Cordell Patterson is going to end up being the running back that he was last season. He might be used more as a weapon as a wide receiver. So Algier might end up winning the starting running back job. And, we've seen what Arthur Smith did in Tennessee with his run game. He certainly knows how to put together a run game. Look, Algier is in no way near Derrick Henry. But can he put together an effective running game? Absolutely. He did it with Cordell Patterson last year. So he can do it with a real bruising running back. And if they go heavily on their run game, they can shorten these games and maybe they become more competitive instead of trying to outfire everybody. So I'm interested in that, and I think that at plus 5,000, Algier may be worth a flyer.
Yeah, I think that's my concern is the game script. I do think that Mariota has the opportunity to put up some decent stats because they're going to be playing from behind. I do like Tyler Algier as a late fantasy sleeper. I think he's somebody that could emerge certainly in that backfield. Limited competition, Damien Williams, Cordell Patterson's going to be used, in one of those Debo hybrid roles. So you don't expect him to get a ton of carries. So I think he could definitely emerge. Now, the prop that I really like, and it's probably the only bet that I will make on the Falcons other than being the worst team in the NFL at plus 400. Drake London and Kyle Pitts over 1,600 and a half receiving yards combined. I love this because I think even if Mariota doesn't sustain his job, keep his job, Desmond Ridder can come in and throw it. No doubt Kyle Pitts is going to get 1,000 yards. He's going to be the top target in this offense, probably see a 30% target share. And then at that point, if he gets 1,000, you're only looking for Drake London to give you 600. I'm okay with that. Most of the Action Network projections have him around 770. I don't want to buy into Drake London specifically because I just don't know what that offense is going to look like. So if I can pair him with Kyle Pitts, who I know is going to ball out, I think that's the way to go. And then we pray for the upside of Drake London, who has drawn comparisons to Mike Evans, and I think could certainly get a ton of targets if they're playing with a negative game script or a positive game script in this case.
The Drake London over at DK is 764.5. So 764.5, and then Kyle Pitts, what do they have him? Oh, that's a wide receiver, so I'm not gonna be able to get it here. I don't know. I think it's pretty interesting. I don't hate that one. Also, I'm like very high on Marcus Mariota, so like obviously I'm going to bet the over.
Come on, man, you got to buy into it. You're buying into Mariota by buying in through Drake London and Kyle Pitts.
Whatever. Do you want me to just bet Mariota across the board? Like I'll bet Mariota over rushing touchdowns right now. That sounds.
Why is he not your comeback player of the year? He fits all of the boxes.
Oh, you don't think that I've bet him? Come on, I bet him at plus 1,400. But like I don't know if I'd actively give that one out.
Yeah.
How many? Like realistically, how many games do you think that he starts for the Falcons this year? Because like my thinking is like he could play well. He could be like that the Titans team that went to the playoffs where I think he threw like 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions one year. Mm-hmm. He was pretty good. I think that was his second season in the NFL. He could do that and play that well, but Atlanta's not going to build around Mariota. So at some point, even if he plays that well and they're 3-5, 3-6, they're going to go to Ridder. There's no reason for them to stick with Mariota. So that's like my concern with any bet with Marcus. He's going to get pulled.
Yeah, I was thinking he could probably see at least 10, 11 games, and then you get the back half, those final 5-6 games to get a look. I mean, that may be a lot to ask for Desmond Ridder. Maybe he starts the last 3 games. I mean, if he's healthy, I think that's why you pay for Mariota. You want to give him a shot to actually see what it's like. I think he's been great in limited time, when he played for the Raiders. So I think he plays most of the season here, man. Like I think if he's healthy, they got to give him the chance. Because I haven't seen anything in camp to indicate that Desmond Ridder has really upseated him or has any chance of like really coming for his job right now.
The question that I have actually from like a team building standpoint, I don't know what Mariota's contract is, but they would be really stupid if they didn't give him a 2-year contract so that they could trade him if he plays well. If it's only a 1-year deal, that's a really, really dumb idea. I hope that they didn't do that.
They did give him a 2-year deal.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense because they want to have the option to trade him either after the season, probably not during the season at this point, but you never know. I would put the over/under on Mariota games played at maybe 10.5.
Yeah, that sounds right. That's enough to usher in the new regime. Plus, Ridder's going to be practicing, but I don't know. Like they didn't spend that much of crazy capital on Desmond Ridder, so yeah, I don't know. I think they're gonna ride that Mariota train till the wheels fall off or he gets hurt. Ride
Mariota until the end. End up getting a top 3 pick, and you have your choice of Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. So very interesting. All right, why don't we close this podcast? Maybe best bet on the division that you're looking at.
Best bet on the division. I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield under 22.5 touchdowns. Just no faith in Baker, what he's coming off of, that injury, the QB competition. Matt Rule is a disaster. Just not much to get excited about. But if he does play well, I think he could still fall under this mark just because that means that CMC is healthy and that they're thriving. So this offense moves with CMC. CMC goes down. Good luck.
I'll take Michael Thomas over 800.5 receiving yards and the over 70.5 receptions. I just think this is the time to buy it. I've said it multiple times on this podcast. Buy into MT all day long. The last thing that we've done on every podcast, the LVP and MVP of the division, who do you think the MVP of the division is? Maybe like non-Brady edition, because it's like almost not fair.
Yeah. MVP of the division. It's really going to hinge on Michael Thomas, right? I feel like he's
I like it.
Him or Alvin Kamara, I think would be the two guys, because I think that's going to be the success of the Saints. And we know that the Saints have always given the Bucs a challenge in the division. So that could maybe shake it up a little bit more. So I like that. And then on the least valuable player, I'm going to go Cordarrelle Patterson. I think he had a nice outlier year, but he is not going to be as valuable anywhere near as he was last season.
I like that. All right. My MVP for this season, he's going to need to be Tristan Wirfs, left tackle for the Bucs.
Facts. And he was the best. He graded out one of the best offensive linemen, so he's got to repeat that for sure.
With the losses that the Buccaneers have taken on their offensive line and Brady's backside, and obviously he's 45, and this might be his last run. No offensive lineman is more important to their team this year than Tristan Wirfs is. Right. So that would be my MVP for the division. And then my LVP, let's go Matt Rule. Fuck it. I think he's going to I like it. First coach fired. I'm going to bet him on top of Cliff.
Cliff.
I like that one.
I love that. I love it.
You know what? I think that perhaps my favorite owner in the NFL is David Tepper, just because I love – we've talked about the statue on his desk before, my type of guy. But the idea to give him a 6-year deal and the GM situation, like they really messed up their first GM and coach hiring and giving them that much control early on. Now, I've talked about this after the NFL draft, but if you go and watch the coverage that the Panthers have on their YouTube, Matt Rule is an NFL GM. He's not a head coach. This guy knows every player in the league. He's really quite incredible. I understand why he got a 6-year contract and he got the job. But in terms of a head coach and relating to players, does not seem like he has it. And I think it's going to be a big issue for them this season. So I would say the LVP for this division is going to be Matt Rule. If I had to pick a player, unfortunately, I think it's going to be my guy CMC, because I think he goes down once again this season. I hope not. I think he helps. I hope not. I hope he does great this year. But yeah, I would bet on him once again getting injured this season. All right. That does it for Gambling Gold, episode 94, the NFC South Gambling Preview. We will be back next week, probably dive into the AFC a little bit. Until then, good luck with all your bets. Dan, appreciate you coming on, and we'll talk to you soon. See you.